What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is April 14th of 2021. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, we have to dive straight into what is probably one of the biggest events of the 2021 year for cryptocurrencies, and that is the launch of the Coinbase initial public offering, or more commonly referred to as IPO. Now, I'm going to talk about what this means, my personal thesis on investing in the Coinbase IPO once it actually launches. Again, not financial advice. And outside of that as well, guys, what this more importantly means for the broader cryptocurrency space and the money flow cycle of where capital is going to go to next. So we've got a lot of important things to talk about, as well as a sponsored review of the e-money protocol. So stay tuned for that. You guys won't want to miss it. All right, let's go ahead and dive straight into the conversation, guys. Taking a look over the last 24 hours here, and this is going to kind of serve us as a precursor to my conversation here. We can see very clearly here that there are a variety of protocols, Dogecoin leading the way here, that are showcasing what's about to happen here in the market following the Coinbase IPO. We are about to get an initial surge and wave of more optimism and risk-taking that we have yet to see within the altcoin space, bigger than I think we've seen all throughout this year up until January, right? So I want to go ahead and we'll dive into that topic here in a little bit and why I think that is. But let's just first go ahead and talk about the Coinbase IPO. And I want to take a very brief moment here to just say real quick that not only is this a very big moment for the cryptocurrency space, to take a company public is one thing, to take a cryptocurrency exchange to the mass of users and the recognition that Coinbase has built over the last 8 years is truly phenomenal. It's truly phenomenal. Actually, technically almost, I would say it's almost about 9 years now. But the Coinbase company has scaled out to a variety of different services, and Brian Armstrong, as well as Fred Ursher in this case, who co-founded the company, have taken it a long way. Before we dive into the technicals and all this stuff, I just want to say, as someone who's, for example, founding my own company in the crypto space, and for example, might offer some similar services to Coinbase, I want to say to Fred and Brian, hats off, guys. I mean, this is the moment I think you guys have been waiting for a long time. And I know you probably won't see this, but I just wanted to say, and I think all of you out there, whether you're a big fan or not of Coinbase as a platform, this is a really exciting moment. And it's cool to see, the humble beginnings that people come from. There was a photo I wanted to get, and unfortunately I can't find it, where it was Brian out at a booth at a 2013 crypto conference, handing out, flyers, things around Coinbase. And it's so cool to see that journey from a startup founder where everyone's betting against you, that no one really believes in you. And you see that vision, 10 years out. And that's where Coinbase is today. So I have to say, hats off to the team and stuff. Again, I think there's a lot of great things that Coinbase does as a platform. And they have served as a great way. They were my first exchange in the crypto space. So again, hats off to them on that. Now, I want to go ahead and actually talk now about buying per se. I'm not telling you guys any financial advice about whether to buy or not. I'm just simply letting you guys know about what you're getting into in regards to investing in the Coinbase IPO. So when a company like Coinbase is going public, it means that their company is publicly traded. So anyone who can open up a brokerage account on platforms like Robinhood or E-Trade or through their bank account will actually be able to own equity inside the Coinbase platform. So let's go ahead and just dive into some of the metrics here that are important to understand. If you guys want to learn about Coinbase as a company, you guys can go ahead and check out the website if you want, right? But the biggest thing here I want to talk about is the valuation, right? Now, at the end of the day, guys, I want to be very blunt here. Valuations in this day and age really don't matter that much. But at the same time, I want to be clear here in talking about a little bit about my kind of thesis of what real opportunity lies here within Coinbase at this point, because originally the NASDAQ had given Coinbase a price reference of $250 per share. Right? And the price per share is actually not what matters. It's the price per share times the amount of shares. That gives you market cap and valuation, which at this price would give Coinbase a $65 billion valuation. But however, some people are expecting that the price that Coinbase shares are going to start trading at when they actually go in the public exchanges and hit the order books is going to bring up to a valuation of over $100 billion. So again, some people are believing that it's going to be double this. And if we actually take a look at some of the kind of tokenized equity platforms like FTX, and I know Binance as well is going to be listing it as well for trading, we can see here the people are evaluating each share at around $585, which is more than double this price per share. So if you want to do the math on that in this case, you're talking about an over 130, 40, 50 billion dollar valuation, depending on the metrics you're looking at, somewhere in that ballpark. And to be honest with you guys, Coinbase has a lot of users, but on a fundamental basis, that valuation is out the wazoo. But they're not the only company that's facing that problem. It's the broader equities and broader asset market as a whole. So I'm going to say this. Look, at the end of the day, right, I want to make something very clear. Whether or not you want to get equity exposure to Coinbase is going to be a decision that you guys will have to make. I cannot tell you guys on a legal basis. I can't be your financial advisor to go out and tell you to go buy Coinbase stock or not. I do want to say one thing, though, that when you look at this back in December, you might go, oh my gosh, Coinbase stock went from $234, during its kind of these periods before it became publicly tradable, and now it's at $585. I gotta get in, right? Well, take a look at the Coinbase pre-IPO tokenized stock, which we were just looking at, divided by Bitcoin. Right? It's actually at a lower point than where it was back in December, a lower price premium. Right? It's been rising here since back in April. But my point here is that Coinbase, I'm not saying Coinbase is a better or worse investment than the crypto market. All I'm saying here is that it's going to be probably pretty in sync with what's going on in crypto, right? And again, as you tend to get these kind of rallies into the IPO and stuff, especially in this phenomenon where you can trade tokenized shares, as the hype builds up, especially an announcement like the Coinbase IPO, yeah, people are going to drive up the price here, right? So anyways, again, really not any major interval against how Bitcoin has performed from the same 4-month time period, right? So anyways, just wanted to really drill that in here. But again, above all, I'm not here to recommend whether you buy it or not. I'm not personally looking to buy it if you guys want to know. But if it does dip down, a decent amount, and I'm trying to build up my equity portfolio, it might be a part of my equity position, right? But I'm already pretty exposed to crypto, and I prefer to actually be exposed to the underlying assets, unless I see a better discounted investment opportunity inside a company like Coinbase. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about what this means for the market here, guys, because this is the part I really hope you guys have stuck around for. This is going to be the juicy details here of how I think things are going to play out. So right now, Bitcoin right now is sitting just a little bit below $64,000. We just broke out to all-time highs over the last 24 hours, and we had done so the previous day here on the 13th. But what I want to talk about here is really how I think what is basically going to be an interim top in Bitcoin's price. Now, again, this doesn't mean sell everything if you own Bitcoin. It doesn't mean get out of the market. I'm not even here to really project that idea or that concept of just getting out of the market. My major point here that I want to talk about is that I think that just similar to how, for example, when the CME and the CBOE listed Bitcoin's futures contracts, this has been an event that a lot of people have been looking forward to. And with it, it does solidify the cryptocurrency market to a large degree. So what we saw last time when this happened, when the CME and the CBOE had launched futures contracts for Bitcoin, that was the market top. And I don't think that Coinbase IPOing is a absolute be-all market top for the entire bull run. But I do believe here in the interim, not only because of the momentum in price starting to stagnate here a bit compared to the previous momentum. You can see here from the lows are getting closer and closer and closer. The highs aren't as spread out as they were before. They're getting closer and closer. If we set in a high somewhere here in this general range here up towards where we are now to 70K, that's about the ballpark I would expect for Bitcoin, where we're going to set in our last high here for a little while and start to push downward or sideways. And the reason I want to press this idea is because when we're doing technical analysis on the long-term chart, I'll go ahead and turn off the kind of interim drawings here. We could take a look here, right? The logarithmic chart. Take a look at the 2-week chart here, right? So we're going back all the way here to 2010. We're getting very, very close here to the logarithmic line of resistance, right? Doesn't really matter how you want to draw it here, guys. You can, for example, be a bit more different about how you want to draw it on your chart. But broadly speaking here, if you align these 3 points here to anywhere here near in the interim future, you're going to get it where price in the 60, 70, maybe possibly $72,000, $73,000 range is going to serve as resistance, right? And what I think that this is probably going to set up is something similar back to June of 2019, where we get a bit of a pullback, right? We haven't been seeing the massive corporate treasurer volume that everyone's been expecting post-Tesla, right? And we're going to see a cool down here where they get that buying opportunity and they're able to drive the price where we're going to break this line of resistance. I don't think we've got the momentum here to be able to do that just yet. Again, it's just my take. I could be completely wrong. But the reason why I want to drill this point in and why it's actually a good thing and why I'm not running for the hills is that as this price starts to come down, liquidity starts to circulate outside of Bitcoin, this is where we're going to get the continuation of the altcoin cycle. All right, where we're going to get a major blow off top here and a couple extra percentage points for altcoin dominance. All right, we've already seen a good rise here. Our portfolios have been growing good against Bitcoin over the last couple of weeks, but especially here going through April. And we can see here that whether you're in Ethereum, right, which is setting in those higher lows and higher highs on a long-term time frame, Litecoin as well, setting up at a zone we have not seen in over 5 years, a technical setup here that is primed for the breakout here, right? I mean, there's a lot of different things, over my apologies, guys, over the course of 4 years here for Litecoin, right? Major technical setup that we have had for a long period of time. Uni as well, and take a look at just the broad DeFi space for the altcoin space, right? Setting up these higher lows, consistent general range of resistance, except for one anomaly here, looking like it's ready to break out past its previous all-time highs against Bitcoin. Take a look at Chainlink, holding on that line of support, looking like it's ready for a deviation upward after it gets past this general line of resistance here and its highs, or relative highs. You can see Aave had a nice discount here, one of the major lending protocols. And then also the broader DeFi space against Bitcoin. This is the DeFi perpetual contracts index divided by Bitcoin. We can see we're already setting in those higher lows and higher highs, broadly speaking. So this to me is signaling that we're going to see a major breakout in the broader altcoin space, starting off with those large caps, Ethereum, Litecoin, that are time tested in the crypto space, that are at a major discount against Bitcoin, and then flowing in to a variety of other competing layer 1 protocols, layer 2 cryptocurrencies, decentralized finance coins, NFT plays, the whole bamboozle in this case, the whole absolute shabam. I'm not going to be the one to create the best analogies here, guys. You'll have to find another YouTuber for that. But you get my point, right? This is going to be a crazy historic moment here where we're going to get the secondary full-on wave of this year's altcoin, the first altcoin cycle of this year. We might get another one towards the end of the year, but this is, again, a period of time where you want to, again, catch that last minute of risk exposure and then know when to take profit. Know when, for example, to take some chips off the table with your investments. So that being said, everyone, that's it for today's video. Again, wanted to echo my point here that I'm very, very excited to see Coinbase going public. This is a really cool moment in the history of cryptocurrencies. And no matter what happens here, again, we should take it to heart that cryptocurrencies is, as a market as a whole, right? Cryptocurrencies as an industry are no longer speculative assets, right? They are certainly in the early stages here. They're certainly still volatile to some degree. And yes, I understand there are still many doubters out there, but this solidifies to a very large degree that crypto is here to stay. And that Coinbase, alongside many other companies that are going to formulate within the crypto space, that they are going to play a major role in shaping this industry long term. So that being said, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. And let's go ahead and dive into the sponsored review of eMoney. Alright, everyone, so in today's sponsored review, we're going to be taking a look over a project known as eMoney, a stablecoin initiative aiming to not only build a platform for a variety of other currencies to be brought into the world of stablecoins, but to build a singular blockchain network that allows for people to swap, exchange, and send these different types of coins amongst one another. So it's a really cool project. This isn't something that just came on my radar yesterday. I've actually been following eMoney for some time, and the project has continued to progress here over the last couple of years. So I want to go ahead and dive in to spend some time talking about it. Now, as I mentioned here, eMoney's been around the block for a while. This project has been being worked on throughout the last couple of years. They've gone down the proper regulatory path. And I'm going to talk about why I really think eMoney has a pretty substantial chance to disrupt the stablecoin industry, which is usually pretty predictable and doesn't innovate or change too often or go down the route of being regulatory compliant, right? And that's very, very important here when you're talking about traditional currencies and getting mainstream adoption between financial institutions. So let's go ahead and we'll dive into it here, and I'll kind of talk about some of the key things here, and then we'll dive into some of the actual applications and actually using eMoney systems. So eMoney itself is building itself to be a network for global payments. We've realized with the growth of stablecoins like USD Tether, USDC, DAI, Paxos. There's all types of stablecoins out there in the market, and they're showcasing a need here not only for within the crypto industry to be able to have something of stable value, but outside of that as well to be able to have something that we can use as an alternative payment bridge, right? We have these cryptocurrency networks to be able to send value across the world in a stable format rather than in the form of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or some other kind of altcoin or cryptocurrency. So what they've been going about building is a network on top of the Cosmos SDK and Tendermint to be able to provide fast, seamless, instantaneous or near instantaneous transactions at a low cost, bringing settlement and finality in a very, very instant fashion, and being able to bring about global payments, so opening this up to as many people as possible. Now, one thing that I really like here is that they're not just focused on building another stablecoin network, right? There's a lot of checks and balances that they've kept in mind. The first one being fully collateralized. So just like with USDC, where most people have absolute near confidence that each USDC is backed one-to-one, this is the stablecoin created by Coinbase, which I know we just talked about. But outside of this as well, they've made sure that each and every currency that they issue is fully collateralized, that there's an equal weighted basket of currencies behind these new stablecoin cryptocurrencies. And as we'll learn, there's a variety of currencies like the Swiss franc, the e-krona in this case. There's all types of different currencies that we can dive into for a variety of different kind of European economies that usually aren't covered in the stablecoin market. Next up, again, as we talked about, global currencies covering a wide range of different areas. I'll dive into that as we dive into the actual product. Being interest bearing as well, so being able to actually stake your tokens or actually earn some form of interest on top of them. This is really exciting, especially when you're talking about EU-based currencies, to be able to get some kind of yield on top of them. So that's a very important focus for e-money. And along with that as well, transparency and compliance. Right? So transparency, pretty standard in this case. You can use blockchain explorers. You can see validation of transactions and finality. And outside of this, compliance, actually working here with the FSA and a lot of other financial regulators to make sure that they stay on top of being able to be compliant in issuing these tokens. And as I mentioned, again, this is a point to what I've made before, which is that they've been in this game for a long time. This is not some kind of white paper concept. They've actually been building up this technology to not only work, but have been going through the rigorous and expensive process of actually making sure they do this in a compliant way in the long run. So again, I want to mention here that I've actually gotten to know some of the team as I was going about testing out the product. I got to talk to Martin as well as Heinrich, and I also know Luke I got to chat with as well as Shalini here. They have a wonderful team of skilled individuals from all different walks of life and backgrounds. So I highly recommend you guys take a look through the team here, watch some maybe interviews or content around them, and look into their experience. I think that they've got a very qualified background to make this happen, and it's been showcasing through the actual proof of what they've built. Now, the last thing I want to mention before I actually dive into the wallet is that you guys read through the white paper. If you guys are interested in e-money, understanding more about the token economics, which I'm not going to dive too much into today, as you guys know, I'm a product guy. I like to focus on the product. You guys can go ahead and make a decision for yourselves if you want to invest in their tokens. In this case, that's not my job here. My job here is to talk about what e-money offers here at a protocol level. Now, as you all know, I'm always going to be candid here, and I will say that e-money, for me personally, I have to say, has me at like, out of 100% capacity, has me about at like an 80% interest level. And I'll kind of talk about the great things that I really like about e-money, but also some things that I still want to see in the future, right? So let's go ahead and talk about the positive here. First off, e-money actually has a working protocol. The technology is usable today. And what's really great is because it's built on top of Cosmos using Tendermint consensus, fees are very, 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 very cheap. And that's very important for stablecoins, whether I'm sending you a payment or swapping from one currency to another, right? This is very, very critical long term. And I have to say, for myself who's been building a smart wallet like Digifox, I'm very interested in these kind of services, right? So let's just go ahead here and take a look here at the e-money platform. So as you guys can see, I'm logged into my wallet here. I've got 22.1 NGM tokens. This is the native e-money currency here, but I've also got 2 e-euros here. So again, what's really cool here is we're not looking at EUSD, we're looking at euros. So now I have a tokenized version of euros, which, as many of you might already know, euros traded around 1.14 USD per euro. So I've got 2 euros here in my portfolio. And I can actually go about sending them to other participants on the network. So I can send them up here, pasting in another address. I can sign the transaction. I can choose my certain currency that I want to send. And then also I can receive as well, right? So this is my e-money address here. I really don't mind if you guys see it here. You guys might not be able to see it because of my webcam, but I digress here. Overall, like again, it's just a test account here that I've got here for e-money. And we can see here that there's a few key action items here on the left-hand side. On the Earn tab here, this is where you can actually go about staking with a variety of validators on the network. So if I want to actually get some yields on my NGM tokens, I can go about staking it with one of these individuals. And again, it's important to note that there's a 21-day lockup here, but I can go ahead and lock in with one of these validators who are helping to validify transactions and reach consensus, right? So again, comparative to the Ethereum network where you have a ton of miners in this case, my understanding of e-money is that it's delegated proof of stake here. As we're going about validating with specific market participants here. Like for example, Buy23 Labs, I can read into the description here of who they are, right? And I can see here that they provide proof of stake infrastructure to a variety of major players out there on the Cosmos, Celo, and a few other networks here, right? Now, let's go ahead here and talk a little bit about some of the actual functional things. I just want to mention here, just a quick tidbit, is that they're trying to become multi-chain. So even though they are on Cosmos here, again, they want to make sure that you'd be able to go over to the Ethereum network, to Avalanche. They're starting to build out their bridges, which is really exciting. Again, we'll have to see how long-term and stuff it's going to be until we figure out that one layer protocol that's really going to lead. But again, there's a variety of bridges here that are going to start making it where you can go across chain. This is really the coolest tab to me, all right? And it's the fact that you can place an order to exchange from one currency to another. Now, as you all know, we've been in a bit of a bubble here, and I will say this first and foremost as a US resident, that everyone in the stablecoin space has been subject to using USDC or other US dollar-based stablecoins. I think that's great because the US dollar is the world reserve currency, but some people, whether it's in payment applications or if it's in being able to swap from one currency to another, people are going to want to get exposure to other currencies. And as we take a look here, we've got a few different currencies here. We have the Swedish currency, the Norway currency here. This is the currency for Denmark, the Euro-based currency, and the Swiss franc here. So we have a variety of currencies here that we can trade from. And it's important to note here that there are different ways you can trade here between one currency to another here, right? And some pairs are more common or more frequent than others, as it might be that there's a high spread between two rates, right? But as more liquidity or more actual of this currency is coming into circulation, you can start to reduce those spreads and you can make swaps, get to rates where they make sense, right? And this is generally speaking the kind of spread you're going to find anyways in a lot of major providers out there who probably have much larger order books here in traditional Forex exchange. But what's really cool here is that unlike those systems, I don't have to go through a middleman. And along with that as well, I've got this dashboard here where I can go from one currency to another. And that's exactly how I actually, in my portfolio, I got my euros here that I have within my account. So it's really cool. I can go here to my transaction records. As you guys can see, I was testing this, as I mentioned, for some time. I did a transaction here back in February. And we can see here on the actual emoney.net Explorer through Big Dipper, I can see my actual swap here, right? I traded 2.94 NGM to 2 euros. Now, unfortunately, funnily enough here, I wish I would have just almost held my NGM that they gave me to test around with because I'd be better off than switching to my euros here. But nonetheless here, you guys get my point. Like, this is a really, really cool system, and it didn't take much, right? I paid a fee of pretty much 0.1 NGM, right? So you're talking about a couple of cents, if anything, to make a swap like this. And that's absolutely phenomenal. I didn't have to go through any middle party. They're not charging me ridiculous slippage or spread in the middle of it all, right? This is a truly either, basically, it's either a truly peer-to-peer network when I'm sending payments, or it's really just me interacting with the open exchange here to be able to convert to whatever currency I want, right? This is a really, really cool system, I have to say. I think e-money long term, and again, I think that some people might have a hard time understanding it because everyone's thinking about, for example, is there really money to be made in the stablecoin space? Is there really a per se market opportunity? And guys, look, no matter how e-money or any other protocol actually goes about doing this, and from my understanding, they do it within the actual token economics of NGM, the key point here is that stablecoins are a massive market opportunity. With the recent news of Visa actually supporting USDC in their payment rails, right, being able to actually utilize USDC. This showcases here that even the major payment processors, pretty much for them, the game's up, right? They can't any longer be the predators that charge 2 to 3% for global transactions. They no longer can get away with all the malpractice that they've got away with over the last few years. We now have decentralized solutions that are allowing us to put our wealth in the currency of choice that we want and also be able to transact it the way we want and put it into protocols where we earn staking yields or interest yields, right? I think e-money is in the very early stages here. It's more about providing an ecosystem here, or really the tools for an ecosystem to form around e-money. And that's a point that I do want to bring up here, because outside of swaps and transactions, and of course staking it in this case, those are the key utilities, and that does cover a good range of things. But I want to see e-money used in more practical applications. I want to know that with e-money, European users who are probably much more familiar and be more comfortable with euros have a protocol within the e-money ecosystem where they can go out and actually stake it, in this case, their actual e-euros to earn interest. So again, maybe supporting cryptocurrency loans, things of that sort, maybe even exploring into under-collateralized loans, getting e-euros used in the traditional banking framework. That's the kind of stuff that would really excite me, because I'll be honest, the only thing here that I would say is, and I mentioned this to the team and stuff, so I don't think it's a shock or anything, I would love to see some improvements to the UX and kind of showcasing the ecosystem around e-money. That's, I think, the next chapter here, because the technology works phenomenal. And I think, again, it's so exciting. And to know that this is not only working, it's one thing to build working tech, but that it's collateralized fully by real money, that it's been approved by the financial regulators in the jurisdictions that e-money is operating out of. This is huge, guys. This is very, very professional. And it's the long time-tested approach you have to take in order to actually do things right, to build a stablecoin network that's actually going to last and be used. So I'm very excited to see where the project goes long-term. And again, I think the project here has a lot of major accolades to look at. Again, you guys can scroll through the timeline here. The project has been around for a long time here as we go throughout the timeline, going back, if I remember correctly, all the way back since 2018 or 2019. Yeah. So again, they've been around for a very long time here as a project. And again, they've got a basket of different companies here and partners they've been working with, EY being one of the largest here as they've been going through the actual auditing process. So highly recommend you guys take a look through e-money, learn more about the project and its ambitions long term. But the great thing is you guys can set up a Kepler Wallet through your browser, just like MetaMask, and you're able to interact with e-money and a variety of other projects in the Cosmos ecosystem. That's how I did my test transaction. It's very easy for you guys to get access to it. You guys can probably get set up with a couple NGM in this case and give it a go. But it's a very, very exciting project. Again, I think in its infancy, it's still in its early stages, because this is really a decade-long project. It's not something that's going to get formulated overnight. It takes a lot of biz dev and actual integrations to actually get it out there into the mainstream. And I think that's the next chapter for e-money, to really realize its technology that it's built. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. If you agree or disagree, or maybe see something different that I didn't mention, leave it down below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you all enjoyed this video, consider dropping a like. It always helps out here on the channel. But that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everyone.